Okay, Unit 10 review, Part 3. So now number 7 and 8 graphing. We first need to identify what kind of graphs they're going to be. So number 7, taking a look at it, if we take a look at what we've got here, that minus sign there, okay, pretty much indicates right away that it's going to be a hyperbola. Now, we definitely want to get it into standard form, which means that the first thing that we need to do is set it equal to 1. So that means that we have to divide both sides, everything, by 12 and reduce. So 3x squared over 12 reduces to x squared over 4 minus, and then we have y squared over 12 does not reduce, and that's equal to 1. So what that means is that we've got a hyperbola which has the form x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. And the fact that the x squared term is the positive term means that it has a horizontal transverse axis. So in other words, the two branches of the hyperbola open to the left and to the right. It also means that since we don't have either an h or a k next to the x, it's just x squared and y squared, that means that our center right there is at 0, 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plot my center at 0, 0. And then I'm going to plot the dimensions of a box, a rectangle, using a and b. Well, if a squared is equal to 4, that means that a is equal to 2, which means that my vertices are 2 units to the right and 2 units to the left. Because remember, I've got a horizontal transverse axis. Okay, so that means that my hyperbola branches are going to open to the left and to the right, so those are the vertices. And I'm going to change color here for the rest of the box because now b is equal to the square root of 12, which is approximately 3.4, 3.5, somewhere in there. So we'll say approximately 3.4. That's close enough. Okay, so 3.4 would be 2 units, 4 units, so halfway, a little less than halfway in between up, and a little less than halfway between down. Okay, so what this does is it gives me the width of a rectangle. The height is determined by b in this particular case, and the width was determined by a. Okay, so what this does is it gives me a rectangle that I can now use to draw asymptotes through. Those asymptotes go through at a diagonal, and we've got going this way. Okay, a little tough to sketch out on here, but you get the idea. Diagonals. Okay, and then once we have those diagonals, those asymptotes, then all we have to do is start from each vertex and approach, but don't touch the asymptote. Just remember, you always approach your asymptotes, but you don't touch them. Okay, and we do that from each side. And that's your quick graph of the hyperbola for number 7. Okay, now taking a look at number 8. Number 8's a little bit trickier because it's not written in a form that we can readily recognize. Okay, so what we have to do here is take a look at the fact that we know that a is equal to 1 and c is equal to 1, okay, and b is equal to 0. We don't have an xy term, so that means that b is equal to 0. Well, if b is equal to 0 and a and c are equal to each other, then we know that we have a circle. Okay, so right away I know that this is a circle, so I'm going to rewrite it in standard form. Okay, so we've got x squared plus y squared plus 2x minus 4y equals -1. And what I have to do now is complete the square for both the x term and the y term, because remember my formula for a circle looks like x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where h and k are the center and r is the radius. So I have to complete the square here. So I'm going to get the x terms together, x squared plus 2x plus blank for my completing the square, plus y squared minus 4y plus blank for completing the square equals negative 1 plus whatever all that stuff is that I have to add to the left-hand side. Okay, so over here completing the square, well, b is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1, completing the square. And for my y term, negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4, completing the square there. And so I added 1 and 4 to the left-hand side, which means that I have to add a total of 5 to the right-hand side. So that gives me positive 4 on the right-hand side. And then if I rewrite these as binomial squares, that gives me x plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared. And now I'm written in my standard form of a translated circle. So x plus 1 corresponds to x minus h, which means that h is equal to negative 1. Okay, so this is my h comma k, my center. Okay, so negative 1 for my h and positive 2 for my k. R squared is equal to 4, which means that r equals 2. So now I've got all the information that I need. Negative 1 comma 2 for my center, and a radius of 2, so I go up 2, right 2, down 2, and left 2, and then sketch my circle that goes through those points. And hopefully yours looks a little bit better than mine, and you're done.